Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
That's what I'm talking about. All of our guests today, including Ross Tucker, standing by, sponsored by Passant Motors. Due to popular demand, Passant Motors has continued on with its anniversary sale. Get huge discounts and great promotions with your next vehicle. Get all the details at Passant Motors, BASANT Motors.com. Joined now by Ross Tucker from the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, CBS Sports and Westwood One. Ross, thanks for doing this again, sir. How are you?
Yeah, my pleasure. Doing great. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good to see you guys.
31-17, you're from Pennsylvania. 31-17 for the Eagles over the Dolphins. And I think the big question out of that game is obvious. Should the Eagles go full-time with the Kelly Greens? Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you're either talking to the right guy or the wrong guy. I don't know which way to describe it. But you have to understand, I grew up outside of Philadelphia, diehard Eagles fans, and my peak fandom, guys, was like 84 to 94 from when I was 5 to 15 years old, and that's when they were rocking the Kelly Greens. So that's my era. I fell in love with those uniforms and jerseys. I absolutely love those uniforms and jerseys. So, yes, I would love if they did that full time. Although, you know, it's like anything else in life, right? If they did it full time,
yeah, I
wonder sometimes if it would have the same effect, the same impact as when they only bring it out for certain games. It's like anything else. I mean, there's a reason why they switched away from it in the first time. Like all these uniforms, right? Yeah. Like, you know, the Giants and Seahawks. People love the Seahawks throwbacks. You know, people, at some reason, at some point, we thought, we're sick of those. Those are old. Let's move on. And now the style's gone back to where we all think they're all so great.
Yeah, and the Seahawks are wearing their 90s throwbacks this coming weekend against Cleveland. Ross, an impressive victory by the Eagles over the Dolphins. Any chance that Jets lost or the loss to the Jets was a positive? You could look at it as a positive for the Eagles?
Well, I think it was a positive in the sense that it certainly kind of reinvigorated those guys, motivated them. It's one of the big reasons why I picked the Eagles to beat the Dolphins. I really could have gone either way on it. The Dolphins have played very well, but I just didn't envision, you know, knowing the way the NFL works, I just didn't envision the Eagles losing 2 games in a row, including at home, prime time, Sunday night, rocking the Kelly Greens. I could not see that happening. And so I think I picked the Eagles 31-30. I think what was surprising to me was just how well they played defensively. Because one of those touchdowns for Miami was a pick six. Yeah. You know, the Eagles played very well defensively, especially considering, you know, they were without both their starting safeties, without their nickel back. You know, they're arguably down to their 4th and 5th guys at those positions. So I'll give a lot of credit to Sean Desai, their D coordinator, who did a terrific job. I think he might have been in Seattle last year with you guys.
Ross, one other element from that game, one other story from that game. You tweeted out something to the effect of Tyreek Hill is the fastest football player you've ever seen. Who else? Who else is up there?
Randy Moss is somebody that comes to mind. Certainly in his day, I felt like Deion Sanders was really fast. And I know there's track guys that have crossed over, the Willie Gaults and the guys that have been in track, but it's not necessarily the same as football speed. And when you see Tyreek Hill in person, and I think, you know, sometimes I wonder, I mean, he's definitely that fast, but I also wonder sometimes how much of that's because he has short legs. He looks fast, right? Like there's other guys that are also gaining a lot of ground, like a Randy Moss, but they don't always look like they're moving as fast because they've got longer strides. For the fastest guy to be, 5'9", that's really, really impressive because you think about how fast you got to be picking those up and putting them down to move that fast.
Ross, the Bills dropped to 4-3. They lose to a team that was 1-5. What's going on there in Buffalo?
You know, they very easily could have lost the game I did the Sunday before against the New York Giants.
Yep.
They're just something's not quite right there. I mean, first of all, the real issue is it's kind of on both sides of the ball, right? I mean, they get off these slow starts on offense. It happened against the Giants, happened again against the Patriots, but then defensively, I mean, they didn't give up a lot of points against the Giants, but they were kind of fortunate because of what happened at the end of both halves against the Giants in that Sunday night game. And then they let Mac Jones have his best game of the season.
Yep.
It's a real bad look when you're Sean McDermott, their head coach, and you allow Mac Jones to have his best game of the season against you, because that shouldn't happen. I mean, and, it's kind of starting to feel like same old with the Bills. You watch them and, man, they're going to have a tough time even winning that division, let alone, having the type of playoff success that they obviously hope to have.
Ross, a couple of weeks ago, we asked you about Bill Belichick, his future. They're losing a lot, the whole 9 yards. And then we find out on the weekend he secretly signed a contract extension. Did that surprise you?
A little bit, although other reports, and I actually just posted about this, or we posted about it on social media, at Ross Tucker NFL and at Ross Tucker Pod, that then there were other reports that said the contract extension only goes through the 2024 season. So it's not like it's a really long contract, according to Tom Curran of NBC Sports Boston. And so the thought process there is that even giving him that extra year through next year would not preclude New England from moving on from Belichick if at the end of this season they feel like that's the right decision to make.
Talking with Ross Tucker. Ross, Bears beat Vegas 30-12. This Tyson Bagent, 23 years old, undrafted out of Division II, Shepherd University. Is this a one-off, or is there something there with him?
Well, I think it's probably a little bit of both, in the sense that I don't know that the Bears are going to keep winning games by 20 points with him at quarterback as long as Fields is out. So it's a one-off in that regard. But he looked like he knew what he was doing. I mean, the moment wasn't too big for him. He looked like he felt like he belonged. It's amazing. Division II, there's a lot of schools that are playing at higher levels. I mean, he's probably playing in front of 2,000 people at these games. And then to play at Soldier Field, 75,000 people against the Raiders, just really cool. I'm so happy for that young man. And for his family, I guess he had like 65 people came to the game. And they should, right? Who knows if it'll ever happen again. I still, guys, I'll never forget 2002, my second year, playing for the Dallas Cowboys. I get my first official start against the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm in the end zone, and they say, starting at left guard, number 69, second year from Princeton University, Ross Tucker. And, you just think about all the people that have influenced your life and helped you get to that moment. There's like all these different stepping stones in life, right? And certainly just making an NFL team is one of them. But then when you're actually starting a game, it's really, really, really cool.
You got emotional there for a second, Ross.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I'm an emotional guy. I don't shy away from that.
Okay.
I don't at all. Like I embrace all of the different experiences and emotions of life. And there's certain things in my life, like when I made the team as a rookie or when I started that first game, that it's like immediately my eyes, it's like Pavlov's dog, It's like when it's like Rick when his phone lights up that they're bumping a guy up from the AHL. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like the highlight of the year, right? You know what's really funny, by the way? The night before that Colts game, I'm in the hotel in Indianapolis, and somebody comes up to me and asks me to sign a football card.
Oh, nice.
And it's me. And I didn't even know I was on a card. I had never seen it before. So you want to talk about a cool weekend? The night before the game, it was in a Washington uniform. And they're like, can you sign it? And I was like, where did you get this? I'm like looking at both sides like this, like, is it real? Like, is this a real
Is that
card
me?
that they make people can get? And so the guy gave me one. He gave me one. I said, dude, email me or whatever. I'll send you something cool. But I'd really like to have one of my own cards.
No, the thing with the announcement, though, the story with the announcement, I mean, you're playing in a Pee Wee hockey tournament in suburban Vancouver. That's a big deal to hear your name announced and hear you're having it done against the Cowboys in the National Football League. I can't imagine.
For the Cowboys.
For the Cowboys. Sorry.
For the Cowboys.
Yeah, against the Colts. And, man, and by the way, the Colts were really good. It was the RCA Dome, and we got beat by a bunch. But thankfully, I didn't play too bad.
Yeah. Hey, this has been great. You know what? Next week, I've got to ask you about Curtis Work. I know you worked the game for Ohio this past weekend. So we'll do that next week, Ross. Thanks so much.
Sounds great. I'd love to.
Yeah. Thanks so much for this. We'll talk to you next week.
See you guys.